All right, that is it. I have had it. My financial situation changes starting today. Okay, it's January 1st, 2025. And a lot of people on this day look at resolutions, New Year's resolutions. What's going to happen from this day forward in my life? And I'm talking to you, your life. What's going to happen from here? And this is a big day to do that. In fact, this is a big day for me. This is video number 1 of this new year. The first video that I will be putting up on YouTube. And so I think about this feeling in our finances that so many people have right now. On day one of the big New Year's resolutions is to get your finances together, to save more money, to get your finances on track is a big thing that happens in the new year, okay? But sometimes that whole push to actually take care of personal finance culminates rather from a frustration, if you will. This feeling that is it. I am tired of being broke and tired. I am tired of not being able to get past the month without running out of money. I'm tired of not being able to meet the day-to-day demands. I'm tired of being behind. I'm tired of being paycheck to paycheck. Some of these things come into that feeling of frustration, that feeling of I've had it, that feeling of it's not going to be this way for me anymore. I listen quite a bit to Jim Rohn. And one thing that Jim says is that day can be a glorious day, okay? Now that feeling isn't a positive feeling. It's a negative feeling. That feeling of, man, I blew it. I've had it. But there's also a positive side to that. That side that you're moving from just that frustration to this is a new day. I'm turning a leaf. I'm going to something new. But here is the caution that I will give. The caution is that if you just stay in the feeling, I've had it, it's over. My finances stop today, I've had it. If you just stay in that feeling, then you don't move to the beauty that is philosophy, okay? You don't want to stay in feeling. You want to move over to philosophy. Now, what do I mean by that, okay? A philosophy is a guiding principle, kind of a worldview, if you will, that guides your behavior, okay? It's a set of principles, if you will, okay? So, from my perspective anyway, I studied psychology in college, and it was tough. You know, anyone who has been to graduate school knows that you go through a lot of study. You stay up late nights, get up early mornings. It's really tough, and there's a lot of information to digest in any graduate program. And so for me, I liked to simplify things. And one thing that I came up with in college was PGA, philosophy, goals, and action rather. So that acronym PGA, which is, you know, golf terminology, and that helped me to remember it, but it helped me to remember philosophy, goals, and action. But right now I want to talk about philosophy. Why is philosophy so important? It's important because it is that core. It is what guides you. It is what keeps you on track. Feelings come and go. You feel happy, you feel sad. It's kind of up and down and all around. But philosophy is a core that guides you. Now I'm going to give you a few tips in order to plug in to your philosophy, okay? Think about what you were taught by your parents. Some of us had really, really good parents. Some did not have such great parents. But think about those that helped raise you. Hopefully you have someone within that circle that helped raise you that had some good principles that they taught you. Principles or philosophies that they taught you in life. One of the things that my parents did was they had me go to church. I had to go to church every Sunday and Wednesday when I was younger. And by doing that, they were helping me to develop some philosophies around the Christian faith. I grew up in the churches of Christ, okay? It's not the Church of Christ, Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but the Church of Christ, a very Bible-based church. And it helped me develop some philosophies that were really important to me. One philosophy that was developed was actually having a philosophy of purity when it came to romantic relationships. And I made a commitment at 17 years old to look for one lady for a lifetime to be married to. I met my wife in college. She was the first lady that I dated, and now I'm here. 30 years later, we are married with a great marriage. And so those philosophies were very, very good for me in terms of having a long-term relationship. What about other things, teachers, coaches that you may have had? What did they teach you? What did they instill in you as far as honor, integrity? Things like, I think about in school, teaching you to systematically work on something, to be consistent on something, not to just cram for your exam, but to study on a daily basis, and how that consistency over time leads to success in the classroom, success on your tests. Maybe you had a good teacher that taught you that philosophy, to put in the daily disciplines, one step at a time, is better than trying to cram things all the way at the end. Because any one of you who cram for a test, even if you have success on one test, have you really digested that information in a way that sticks with you long term? Often, if you cram for an exam, it doesn't stay with you. I know from experience. Those things where I studied on a regular basis and was consistent, that is what stuck with me over the long haul of my life. So there, good teachers and that sort of thing. What about organizations that you were a part of? I remember I was a part of the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts had a motto of doing, I think it was do a good term daily. In other words, do a good thing for others daily. They also had their motto and their pledge, but they were good philosophies for me as a young person in the Boy Scouts. So there's that. What about sports teams? What were you taught? Often in sports, we're taught the fundamentals. We're taught to actually, like in basketball, how to dribble, how to shoot, how to pass, those sorts of things, the fundamentals, okay? So these are philosophies. So it's important to start with philosophy, because philosophy is just paramount to long-term success. Because you can start today. It's January 1st. It's a good time to start. But start with philosophy. Start with something that has staying power, not just your feeling. Many people are going to try and get healthy during this time period. So they're going to start back at the gym. But it's going to be difficult to be in that gym January, February, and many drop off in February. But wouldn't it be nice to get to March, April, August, and next December, still being in the gym, still doing what you need to do on a daily basis to get the health. And if you need to lose a little weight, maybe lose a little weight, gain a little muscle, or whatever it is that you're trying to do. What if a year from now, even, you're still at the gym on a regular basis and changing that part of your life, your health? But the day that you're frustrated, the day that you're like, that is it, is a great day, as Jim says. I'll share with you, at least financially, when I had that day. I had that day way back. Now it's almost a little over 25 years ago. I was at the university. I just kind of gotten over or past my formal education. I was getting pretty close to graduating from graduate school, but many things were happening. One thing that was happening was a lot of our student loans were coming in for my wife and I. My wife and I, well, I had 6 figures of student loans, and my wife had an additional $60,000 worth of student loans. By the time all of the interest and everything was kind of piling up on us. And I remember we also had credit card debt and some furniture debt. So we had made a lot of financial errors. One, I just took out too many student loans to be able to pay all of the different bills. You know, it was 300 here, 500 there. There were many different ones, and I just couldn't do it. And I remember I could not meet the challenges of paying my bills on a monthly basis. And it just so happened that I needed $400 to get my situation squared away for the month. And I just could not find that money. It just was not there. And so I ended up calling my mom, and my mom rescued me and sent me $400. And I remember sitting on a bench in front of one of the dormitories. I went to Abilene Christian University, and I was there in Abilene at that bench in front of the dormitory, just staring out into the distance. And many of you have been there, where you're at a point of devastation. And that's where I was. I was at a point of devastation, just staring out into space. And I was defeated. I felt this small. I didn't even feel like a man. I couldn't come up with $400 in my situation. And I was at a low, a very, very low. And looking out at that distance, something rose up in me. Like I said at the beginning of this video, it was that moment for me of that's it. Everything changes from this moment. I'm going to do whatever it takes to not be in this position. I remember looking out and saying a little prayer to God that, God, if you will give me the ability to learn about personal finance, I will do whatever it takes. I'm going to treat it like graduate school. I'm going to go learn whatever I need to learn, but just help lead me to the right information. And there was that spirit that kind of rose up in me that was it. But luckily for me, I paired that with a philosophy. And the philosophy was, as long as it took, I was going to open my mind to learning. And I was going to put away what my preconceived notions were, and I was going to learn from those who were successful. core principles and true philosophies that are long-term, that last over time, and that are time-tested and truly tested philosophies that would lead me from where I was to financial success, no matter how long it took. I was willing to put in that time and that effort and that consistency and have the right philosophies and attitudes in order to make it from point A to point B on my finances. So this one is an attempt to help you develop a philosophy around your personal finances. Not just feelings, not just a New Year's resolution, but a core philosophy that guides you, that keeps you going. Even when you're knocked down, you can get back up if you're guided by a core philosophy. So it starts with philosophy. Look at your past. Look at your parents, your teachers. Maybe it's a preacher, a pastor, a youth minister. Maybe it is, like I said, a teacher or a coach, rather. That's what I was thinking about. But some people who have taught you some core principles and values, deep core principles that last, a philosophy that guides you, that gets you to the point on your finances where you have solid ground to then work on principles. Now, my intention is, on the next videos, is to take you through a step-by-step process that I have utilized to actually go from point A to point B, get control of my finances, and actually get to the point of building wealth. Develop your philosophy and get started on your path to financial success. Thanks for listening.